This video is sponsored by Squarespace. It's August, which is the hottest month in Germany, which means it's time for the third year in a row to attempt to make an air conditioner out of clay. The last two builds were somewhat successful. I mean, I learned a lot, but this time I'm being way more ambitious because I want to integrate the fan component so that it's all kind of like one unit. So we're going to integrate a computer fan into this, well, two computer fans, and shout out to all of the commenters who suggested it. Okay, so this is my little it's not even a prototype. It's like a visual sketch. One thing I did make already is the structure to house the fan. So this just lives in here. I just made this out of some scrap wood. It's not looking pretty, but that's fine because I'm going to be covering this entire thing with tiles. As you know, I love tiles. Obviously, I need to extend it. I didn't think about the height that I needed here, so I'm going to, in place of the brick, there's going to be more of this structure. And then at the very bottom, there's going to be something that comes out because the idea is to attach this to the wall. I don't want this to sit on a table. So there needs to be something that sticks out that is going to support this basin. So I'm going to throw the basin. It's going to look fairly similar to this, and this is going to house the water, the pump, and also on top of it will be the cooling unit. This is where the magic happens. And this is the part that honestly I've thought about the least. I haven't really sorted that part out because this part has already been breaking my brain. But imagine a Christmas tree. So you can imagine but sort of in a conical structure, a series of plates. And then the idea is that the water will drip down from the top here, get absorbed into the plates, and then the fan will then cause the evaporation mechanism, which is the basis for how these types of air conditioners work. That's the basic idea. The tricky thing that I've been trying to wrap my head around so far is that I need to actually pay attention to clay shrinkage. So one of the things I'm going to do today is actually make a test tile to very, very accurately measure my clay shrinkage because I've never had to do it with such precision before. I've always kind of 10%, this is always how I've done it in the past. So we're going to do that today. And then I want to throw the basin today because the basin can be fairly independently sized, but it should be more or less this size, I'm thinking. And the plates will be something like this. This is what I'm thinking. This is as far as I've thought though. There's so many pieces that have to fit together and I'm not an engineer, in case you're new here. So I guess let's throw a basin. This I could do. This is 2 kilo. It's gonna be something to wrestle with for sure. He's wobbly, but I think he's gonna be just fine. Who would have guessed I would have gotten it on the first try? Who would have guessed? Well, I still gotta remove it. I probably should have used bats. Why do I always think about using bats after I throw the piece? It's more or less the size scaled up a little bit, obviously. Scaled up a little bit of this, which is what I was going for. And you saw that it was a bit wobbly when it was on the wheel. I can't really expect anything better than that. This is the edge of my ability making 2 kilo pot. So I'm honestly pretty happy with it because I was expecting to have to throw it a few times to get something this good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this dry out to get leather hard, and then tomorrow we can get back into it. I rolled out a 1 centimeter thick slab. This is going to be our test tile. And then I also went ahead and threw a tiny little cup. It will be clear later what this is. It's too complicated to explain right now. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can do today. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning. So I did a few things last night. I came in and I flipped this thing once it was a little bit drier, and now it's nice and leather hard and we can trim it. I also flipped this little guy. He's ready to go. And then the other thing I did is I rolled out another slab because I realized I don't want 1 centimeter tiles. That is too thick for the tiles for this little guy. That is just way, way too much overkill. So I rolled a 0.5 centimeter slab, and we're gonna use that for tiles. Although the 1 centimeter slab is not going to be in vain. I will show what I'm gonna do with that later. And then this morning, about this. This is an aluminum pole. And I'll explain what I'm gonna do with this later. Yeah, the main thing that we want to do today is we want to trim these guys and then make tests with our slabs. I think that is all, because then we can fire everything, and based on the results of that, we can make the rest of the pieces. That makes sense. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. It's a wide enough foot to be stable, but narrow enough to look a bit elegant. I like it. Let's take a little break to talk about today's sponsor, Squarespace. If you've never heard about Squarespace before, they're an all-in-one website platform that artists and entrepreneurs use to stand out online. I've personally been using Squarespace ever since I started my online business because it has incredibly easy to use features, including their drag and drop website builder and integrated SEO tools. Whether you're just starting out or managing a thriving brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website to sell anything from physical products to memberships, digital products, and even services. You can also schedule appointments, create on-brand invoices, and send newsletters. And for the artists watching, you will love their cutting-edge design tools, where you can create a bespoke website that perfectly fits your brand or business. So head to squarespace.com right now for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/potterytothepeople for 10% off your very first website or domain. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, so the whole point of this little guy is to hide the pump. I have to cut a hole out for the cord, I'm realizing, but imagine this guy is gonna sit at the bottom of here, and then I'll cut a little hole in this and slide it down on top of it so that this guy is gonna keep this nice and stuck to the bottom. It will weigh it down as well as keep this guy more or less straight. Also, I need to cut holes so that water can get in. So this thing should be somewhat permeable. Do I wish I spaced these out more evenly? Yes. Am I going to worry about it? No, because I'm stressed. I'm stressed about this project. We're back at the wheel because what I would really like to do is cut out a little ridge, like gallery type thing on the inside of here. So this slots really nicely in and I don't have to use glue to attach it. Like it's gonna just pop right in. This is what I want. Okay, it's a little loose, but I think that's actually fine because you need to add allowance for glaze thickness, the thickness that the glaze adds. So I feel like it's actually gonna be fine. We shall see. And then the other thing that I wanna do here is add an additional insert, one more insert, mostly because I don't want one touch point for my tube. I want like an additional touch point that's going to keep this thing straight, because the fear is a crooked Christmas tree. So I don't have enough clay to carve another gallery into the wall of the pot. This is pretty thin. So I'm gonna have to add something. I'm gonna add a bit of a coil, and then I can trim it back. I don't want it to be too high because I'm worried about splashing. So something like 3 centimeters down. I know that this looks really ugly right now, but I swear I'm going to trim it back and it's not going to look so terrible. In the meantime, let us work on these tiles. So as you can see, I dried them out quite a bit. This is kind of perfect because we need them to hold their shape. So for the 0.5 centimeter tile, this is just a test tile. And honestly, I didn't need to roll out so much clay. Maybe I'll try doing a few different sizes then, since I have the clay. So the biggest tile I need is going to cover this whole face because I'm gonna have cutouts in it so that the air can go through. And that needs to be 19.5 centimeters. Like I wanna do round numbers so it can make it easy to do the math. So let's do a 20 by 20 tile. And then, yeah, we can see how much that shrinks, and then we can take the actual more precise measurements later and apply that shrinkage to it. I think that makes sense. So I made, I shouldn't have done that. I made a 20 by 16 tile because I didn't actually have enough for 20 by 20. And then I made 2 smaller tiles thinking that maybe shrinkage is like exponential, like thinking that it doesn't, affect a large tile and a small tile in the exact same percentage. I'm not sure, because I've never tried to measure this so precisely. I'm not sure why it would, but I also have a feeling it will, so I don't know. And I'm just going to dry them exactly like this so that they stay as flat as possible, probably with some weight on top of it. The last thing I want to do today is make the little insert for the, I don't know if I want to call this a flange or a gallery, the little lip inside. I want to make the insert for that, which I'm going to do out of 1 centimeter thick clay. I'm going to use these guys to measure this. And then we once again go over to the wheel to make a perfect circle. I want to do this all while it's wet, like more or less the same level of wetness so that they do shrink together. Okay, I'm gonna dry this guy beneath pressure as well, but just until tomorrow where I'm gonna finish these pieces up. Okay, I'm thinking I need to wait till tomorrow to finish this guy up and the round insert, but it's just too wet right now. And then the other thing that I want to do, I actually meant to do that with the stoneware, but I think I actually ought to make them with the terracotta. I need to make a test for how big the holes should be in the terracotta because these are way, way more important than the size of these holes actually. So I need those to be like perfectly tight. And I have no idea because I'm not actually using a terracotta clay. I'm making like a faux terracotta by under firing red stoneware so that it's still porous. This is how I'm going to do it because I don't have any terracotta. But it's going to work in the exact same way. So what I need to do is roll out some terracotta. Ugh. Okay, folks, I'm gonna let all of these firm up and I'll see you tomorrow. So I just want to finish these things up today. We are so close to getting our samples done. Yeah, this guy's nice and hard. Hopefully it's not too hard. I still need to cut little slats in it. But first, let's trim this little guy. Ta-da! That's pretty dang straight. And it's like holding it, which, thank God. Like literally all of these inserts are just to hold up this dang pole. So I feel pretty good about that. My only concern that's remaining, well, two concerns that's remaining. One is that there's not enough gap here, which I am still worried about. And then two, is this too high up? Like, as the water falls down, is it just gonna splash over really easily? I'm gonna cut holes in this still, so some of the water will go straight through, but there might be some splash back, which we're just gonna have to live with. I feel like it's gonna be fine, but I really won't know until I'm done. So we're not gonna worry about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut some holes in this now. Okay, the last thing I want to do today is make my samples on my earthenware. So remember, I made 1/2 centimeter and 1 centimeter slabs. And basically I want to test for shrinkage in tile size, but also shrinkage in holes. So I'm just gonna make a bunch of samples and we see which ones are the right ones. All my samples are finished now, so I'm going to catch back with you in a week or two once everything's fired. See you then. I'm loading my samples into the kiln now. Well, this is not a sample. Hopefully not a sample. Okay, our first round of pots is out of the kiln, and should we test it? It's a little looser than I would like, but honestly, it's gonna be fine. I'd rather it be looser than tighter. So there's no solution for this wire just dangling out because I can't put a hole in this or the water will leak. Oh wait, there's this guy. This guy. Oh, that's a problem. I did not think about that. Okay, well that is very upsetting. I didn't... Why did I remember to put the notch in this and not the other one? I mean, I guess it's a little off center. It's what it's gonna have to be, I guess. It's fine. I wish I had added a notch. It would make the whole thing a little bit sleeker, but that's all right. That's what it's gonna be. Okay, so I'm gonna mess with these later. So I added a little bit more length to this. Don't judge my woodworking. I was just trying to use scraps. I didn't want to buy anything. Theoretically, I'm gonna cover this now with tiles, and I have this so I can calculate the shrinkage for how big to make them. So that's very cool. Okay, wait, so I need to make a list. What do we need to do today? I would like to make kind of like everything today. Make the tiles, which requires calculating shrinkage. I think I'm going to roll out clay today and then cut out the tiles tomorrow, because I do want to, obviously I need to cut a hole in here, and what I want to do is cut like some sort of design. I'm gonna put a backer on this, which is how we're gonna attach to the wall. No, I'm gonna deal with that later. So this is done, and then this, I just need to make the evaporation panels. What do you call them? Bowls? Plates? Evaporation plates, and make the beads that are going to sit in between them to separate them. And then I think that's, oh, very important. I need to, is this a crazy idea? Maybe I'm not going to attach this to the wall, because I think I'm gonna change my plan, because originally I was planning on putting a tile on the bottom that would like extend to create like a platform for this. Like if you can imagine like a tile that comes out here, but I feel like that's actually crazy. Like the cement that I use to stick it to this is not going to be enough to support this, which is already somewhat heavy, plus water in it, plus the evaporation pads. So I think I'm gonna change my mind and make this a tabletop air cooler. Let's just get into that. So to do the calculation, I want to, the desired size times mystery percentage equals working size, like the size you want to make, right? I'm pretty sure. So to get that number, we're gonna divide the working size divided by the desired size equals, right. So it's gonna look like 1 point something something. So this is 1.092, I'll say 3 because 0.93, which is 109.3%, because that's how you make a percentage. Okay, I hope that you guys followed that. So like you're taking the size and you're adding 9.3% onto it. Okay? Okay. That was just this one. Let me use the other ones. And I'm sure it's not going to be exactly, but we'll find something in the middle. Okay, so I got 4 different percentages. Interestingly, the larger piece shrank more. Why is that? Does that make sense? Is it exponential? Okay, so basically my percentages are between 7.14 and 9.3. So we are going to say 8.5%. That is going to be our official no more shrinkage. And honestly, it's a millimeter or 2 difference, so it's going to be fine. Okay, so I rolled out a bunch of brown clay slabs. And I'm gonna use these little stencils that I have to cut out the circles, and I'm going to use a bisque mold to give it a little bit of an arc, a little bit of a shape, because I want the water to hit it and then go, right? I used to make these a lot more when I was like producing, like when I was living off my pottery. So I also just marked the center so I can put the hole later. Try and center this as much as possible. They're never like perfect. So, and then I will let it sit for maybe 10 minutes so it can firm up so that it's gonna hold its shape. And this will be the bottom of our Christmas tree. Okay, while I cycle through these, I'm going to be multitasking and doing the little beads. These are the little things that are going to sit in between the layers. to give them a little bit of separation. And so that's why I made these little guys. So I know my hole needs to be 5/8 of an inch. And so I'm going to do the circles themselves a little bit bigger than that. And I have to make 20 of them. So I'm done for the day. These guys are basically completely done. My rings, my beads, I'm gonna tidy them up a little bit tomorrow because they're just kind of rough looking right now. And then underneath here, I have all of my tile slabs. So tomorrow I'm gonna go in and cut them out to the very precise dimensions that I calculated earlier, and then we can get to firing. So I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. We are going to finish these today. So I've got to tidy up my little rings and then cut the tiles. So I think I'm just gonna scrape. They're a little on the dry side. They're a little dry. So scrape and sponge. That's it. We're gonna make this quick. It's about a week later. Ironically, it's like 15 degrees Celsius today. And so it's pretty cold in Germany, but a heat wave is coming. And I'm really excited because we should be able to get this assembled within the week. So I have all my tiles ready to go in. Yeah, let's load them into the bisque. Kiln is ready to unload. Hopefully everything survived. And hopefully we don't have any cracking. So, dee-dee, our cooling plates and the little beads. This is actually going to be the final fire for these, right? Remember, we're keeping them under fired so that they stay porous. I just barely got them all in. I had to leave some space up here for some other pieces that are top secret for now. But yeah, I got them all in. So we shall see tomorrow how they turn out. And let's hope for a hot day tomorrow so we can also test it. Let's see. I'm unloading the kiln. And they look good. I'm just happy they're not warped. At least the ones on top. We'll see how they look down there. I'm a little worried about my carved ones. I'm very excited because now we can finally start assembling. We have all of our parts. So I wonder if you can start to imagine what it's going to look like at least. We have this guy coming up, little Christmas tree, and then this covered in tiles. Very cool. Okay. Let's put these tiles together. I'm so happy with these cutouts. I think they look really nice together. Okay, as usual, with mosaic tile, indoor mosaic tile, you can simply just use PVA. I've been using this for all of my indoor projects, including that big mosaic over there. Anything that's outdoor though, you do need to use, is it called cement? I'm not sure, but like the proper tile backing, that's gray. So wait, let's check. Yeah, very exciting. I correctly measured shrinkage. That's amazing. Let me show you. So I still have to check the sides, but look at this. This perfectly matches, like, you see the little line that I made there? And then like, I just want a little bit of a gap for grout. And then these fit along the side and then also on the top. This is gonna look so cool. Okay, I'm really excited now. Let's put this together. The front looks so freaking good. I am obsessed. This looks exactly like I'd hoped. I mean, the one thing that I had to fiddle with a little bit is the grout lines are not perfectly even. This is not something that I really can control that much because what I realized is that the ones on the bottom shrunk less than the ones on the top. So that's because, you know, heat rises. So it's always a little bit hotter on the top of a kiln than it is on the bottom. You know, it's gonna look fine. Once we throw some grout in there, like it's really going to look just fine. It's handmade, it's meant to look handmade, and this is why we love handmade stuff. I do recommend making extras though, like for example, this one, I only had one extra of this unfortunately, because some of these are a little bit warped, but this guy is like, I don't know how this happened. He's like not even straight, he's like, whoop. So definitely if you're making tile projects, make extras. That is rule number one. So one of the reasons I love working with PVA glue is because it dries pretty quickly, but not too quickly. So you can always shift things around a little bit. Maybe I'll give it like 10 minutes, but then I'm gonna go ahead and do the sides. In the meantime, I think we can start assembling this. Oh, scary. So I guess what I need to do is cut this. Then I need to figure out which height to cut it at. Okay, this is what we're looking at. This is what it's looking like. I feel like it looks like the gaps between these are bigger than down here, which like, it's just because the branches of the tree are curved versus up here they're more flat because, you know. And it's definitely like a lot smaller than I envisioned, but at the same time, I couldn't have made it bigger unless I made a bigger bowl. I suppose I could have made the differences between these more subtle so it would end up like something like here is what I was envisioning, but it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna go with it. I'm not gonna remake these right now. So I think I have to be brave now and cut my aluminum rod. Should we test it out? Oh. That's a fountain. That's a friggin' fountain. Oh my. In terms of fountaining, this is the best version yet. Sounds really nice too, listen. Doesn't that sound nice? Yes. Okay. Okay, let's finish the fan part. Okay, it's been about an hour. I just wanted the glue to dry really, really well. Yeah, because I'm going to be putting a lot of pressure with my little spatula on this when I'm applying the grout, and I don't want them to pop off. I do find that this PVA glue works really, really well. Like, I've never had a tile pop off. Knock on wood. Anyway, so I was trying to figure out what type of grout I want to use. I've got two different types in my stash already. I've got, it's like a dark brownish gray color. I don't know if you can see. And then I've got a white. And personally, I don't really like using the white because it reminds me too much of a bathroom, especially with these light colored tiles. But I feel like the brown would just be too much. So I'm thinking, I've never done this before, but I'm thinking it should work just combining the two, just mixing the two together. Why the heck not? It's the same brand, so like, it should work, right? It always looks like way too little water. Hopefully this is enough grout because I did not measure how much brown to white, so. We shall see. Let's put it on. Okay, trust the process. I need to let this dry for a little bit and then I can wipe back the excess grout. That's actually very exciting because we're going to see how it looks pretty soon. I don't think I've ever grouted a 3D object before, I have to admit. This is always the best part. Okay, I've wiped back everything that I want to wipe back. I might be regretting now mixing the two colors because I'm okay with the purple, but there's all these little speckles of white that didn't get mixed in very well, which, you know, I could have mixed better as well. Anyway, I know that you can still see there's a little bit of a sheen on top of it, a little bit of a layer. That's totally fine. I'm gonna come back in tomorrow and buff that off once the grout is finished. But I think it's looking really good, if I do say so myself. So I'm gonna let this dry out overnight and I'll see you tomorrow. Today is the day. But first I'm going to remove all of the cloudy leftover grout on top of this. This is really easy. Just take a little piece of cloth and we're just gonna buff it off. We're in my bedroom. I always film these like tests in my bedroom because it's a Western facing room, I guess. And basically it's just very like stable. I'm trying to keep things as consistent as possible. I've closed the windows and the doors and everything. So like hopefully the temperature in the room is going to remain consistent so that we can have like a realistic, you know, test, whatever. I did set up an extension cord. And by the way, if you're wondering why I tiled the bottom, it's because this was actually meant to be fixed to the wall. I don't know if you remember, I think I talked about that. But this is just a prototype still. I can always, like the idea is to screw another piece of wood to the back here and, you know, have some hooks of some kind. And I even did a little cutout for the cord to stick out here. If this works, we will get to that. Anyway, for now, I don't remember if I tested this fan or not. Okay, we have a functioning fan. Oh, nice. And, oh my God. Okay, that was too vigorous. Hang on. When I did it yesterday, it was way less vigorous. Why can't I have one of these air conditioners function without bracing for water with a towel? Jeez Louise. Why are you so intense? Let me try again. Okay. I have no idea why it shot out so strongly the first time, but this is freaking awesome. This is beautiful. This is exactly what we want. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's just scooch this guy a little closer. It's not a lot of air coming out of these computer fans. I don't know. We shall see. Okay, so here's the deal, you guys. I've been waiting a week for the temperatures to raise again. They have not. We are in a random cold spell here in Germany, and it's just been raining and sad. Today the sun came out finally, but it is currently 21.5 degrees Celsius in this room. I'm very aware that you don't need air conditioner with 20.5 degrees. Honestly, I've been walking around this house with a sweater on. But we're still gonna test it because we can still test if the room gets cooler, and then I can whip this bad boy out when it actually gets hot again, because it will eventually get hot again. So I'm going to leave this room for maybe 2 hours, and we'll see if this does any effect. So see you then, cross your fingers. Are we ready for the final reveal? You see? We have lost nearly exactly, well, a little over 1 degree. I gotta say, I'm not super surprised at the results because I have done this evaporative cooler twice already. First of all, I installed the fan in backwards for the first half an hour, and then I realized this is not even blowing air. Flipped it around, but the fan is not nearly as strong as the little tabletop fan that I was using in the past. So I guess it's not surprising, but one major caveat here, it has gotten proper warm outside now today. Like, I don't know how much is permeating into the house yet, but like, it is proper warm now. We've gained quite a few degrees outside. The sun is beating down, and the fact that this room has stayed fairly the same temperature, or actually even a little bit cooler, I think it does something. Like, am I saying that this is practical? I'll let you be the judge of that. But I am pretty freaking excited about my beautiful fountain, regardless of its cooling qualities. I think that is such a beautiful object. Finally, after 3 iterations, I've gotten something that I actually think is beautiful, which to me is always part of the goal. So anyway, that's it for me. I hope that this video was fun and interesting and inspiring to you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.